Welcome to a deep dive into the fascinating world of the global over-the-counter or OTC consumer healthcare market. We've all seen this rise of self-care, right?
Hmm.
But just how massive is this trend really on a global scale? Our mission today is basically to unpack the latest market outlook, get a handle on these huge sales figures, and pinpoint what's actually driving its steady growth. We'll be drawing insights from a pretty comprehensive report by Cognitive Market Research, giving you a shortcut to understanding this, well, essential and evolving sector.
Exactly. We'll look at the current landscape, what these projections for the near future really signify, and how these numbers reflect a global shift in how people are approaching their health and well-being. What's really fascinating here is moving beyond just the big headline numbers to see the broad trends, yeah, and then drilling down into the unique patterns across different regions, even specific countries. It tells quite a story.
Okay, let's unpack this then. This market is truly immense. I mean, picture this. According to Cognitive Market Research, it generated an impressive, what was it, over $200 billion in sales revenue in 2021 alone.
200 billion, just staggering.
Right. And it's not slowing down. Projections show it reaching close to $237 billion by 2025, and then soaring to over $331 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That reflects a pretty steady compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of about 4.3%. And for those maybe not familiar, CAGR basically gives us the average annual growth rate over that period, smoothing things out to show the consistent trend.
Yeah, and stepping back a bit, that consistent growth rate over more than a decade signifies a really profound and sustained shift in consumer behavior. It points towards this global movement prioritizing self-care and accessible healthcare solutions. It's not just some fleeting trend. It's really an entrenched and, I'd say, increasingly vital part of the global economy.
So while those global numbers are certainly eye-popping, how does this play out regionally? Let's zoom in North America first. This region saw revenues of over $80 billion in 2021, climbing to around $94 billion by 2025, and it's forecasted to hit over $127 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 3.86%.
That's an excellent point to dig into because within North America, the United States, well, it accounted for the largest share, right? Over $66 billion in 2021 and projected to reach over $103 billion by 2033.
The lion's share, definitely.
But what's particularly interesting, I think, is that Canada, while smaller in overall revenue, just over $9 billion in 2021, it actually shows a slightly higher growth rate, a 4.54% CAGR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And Mexico also contributes significantly, about $5.4 billion in 2021, expected to grow to almost $8.7 billion by 2033. That's a 4.07% CAGR. That slight difference in growth rates between, say, a mature market like the US and others like Canada, it often indicates, well, maybe different paces of consumer adoption or perhaps different regulatory impacts. Something's driving that faster pace.
That is fascinating. Okay, so North America holds its own, big numbers, steady growth. How does that compare to another major established market? Let's look across the Atlantic to Europe. We see a significant but maybe a different kind of growth story there.
Yeah, bit different.
Europe generated nearly $40 billion in 2021,
Right.
increasing to almost $46 billion in 2025, and projected to reach just under $62 billion by 2033. That's with a KGR of about 3.8%. Slightly lower than North America overall.
And this really raises an important question, doesn't it, about the differing paces of growth even within these very mature markets. For instance, you look at Germany, it's projected with a strong 4.54% CAGR.
Higher than the average.
Exactly, reaching over $12.2 billion by 2033 from $7.3 billion in 2021. That suggests, really robust consumer confidence in OTC products there.
Okay.
But then in contrast, Russia shows a more modest growth, a 2.38% CAGR, projected at under $3 billion by 2033 from about $2.2 billion in 2021.
Quite a difference.
Huge difference. And other key players. Well, the UK is growing from $5.7 billion to over $9.2 billion. That's a 4.12% CAGR. France, from $6.1 billion to almost $9 billion, a 3.31% CAGR. And Italy, 4.59 billion to almost $6.9 billion, a 3.5% CAGR. These variations really highlight how local factors like economic conditions, specific healthcare systems, even cultural attitudes towards self-medication can heavily influence these market dynamics. It's not one size fits all.
Absolutely. If you want to talk about explosive growth Asia Pacific. That's where the real story seems to be,
Oh,
judging by these numbers.
definitely, that's the powerhouse.
The numbers are truly staggering. Revenues stood at just under $50 billion in 2021, projected to reach over $60 billion in 2025, and then leap to almost $91 billion by 2033.
Huge leap.
And this reflects the fastest regional CGR of over 5.1%. That's significantly higher than North America or Europe.
Yeah, it is. And the report points to some key drivers for this acceleration. Things like rising health awareness, expanding middle-class populations, and just increased product accessibility across, well, multiple retail channels. But let's maybe dig into that a little. Rising health awareness. What does that really mean on the ground? Is it government campaigns? Is it, the massive increase in internet access, empowering people?
Good point. And increased product accessibility.
Right. Is that about new pharmacies popping up, supermarkets stocking more, or is it a massive shift to online sales in these regions?
Yeah.
These specific factors, they really differentiate Asia Pacific's trajectory and help explain why it's such fertile ground for the OTC market to just flourish.
Okay, breaking it down further within Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
China leads the region in overall revenue. It went from $15.4 billion in 2021 to a projected almost $29 billion by 2033. That's a strong 5.38% CAGR.
Big numbers.
But get this, India has the highest EGAGR in the entire region, over 6%.
6%. Wow.
Growing from $6.8 billion in 2021 to projected almost $14 billion by 2033.
That's more than doubling.
Exactly. Singapore also stands out, 5.68% CKGR. Southeast Asia as a whole, 5.67% CKGR.
Very strong growth across the board there.
And Japan also shows significant growth from just under $7.9 billion in 2021 to almost $13.4 billion in 2033. That's a 4.51% CTR. Still very healthy.
Yeah, and the growth in countries like India, it's driven by that sheer population size and a rapidly growing middle class, isn't it? It's a powerful indicator of, well, future market shifts globally, I think.
Absolutely. Okay, let's round out our global tour now. South America. Their market generated over $12.6 billion in 2021. Projected to reach over $21.6 billion by 2033, with a $4.56 billion by 2033. That's a 4.44% CKGR. Interestingly, Argentina actually posted a stronger CAGR, 5.15%.
Okay, interesting dynamic there, too. And the Middle East?
The Middle East OTC market stood at over $10.6 billion in 2021, projected at almost $18 billion by 2033. That's a 4.45% CAGR.
Pretty solid. Any standouts?
Well, the UAE exhibits a notable CAGR of 5.18%, rising from $1.54 billion in 2021 to over $2.8 billion by 2033.
Right, and that often ties into, increasing disposable incomes in places like the UAE and maybe greater health infrastructure development, too.
Makes sense. And finally, Africa posted $7.02 billion in 2021. Projections are to reach almost $11.8 billion by 2033 at a 3.86% CAGR. So growth, but maybe a bit slower than some other developing regions.
Still consistent growth, though. South Africa is a key player there, I assume.
It is, growing from about $2.83 billion in 2021 to over $5 billion by 2033. That's a 4.44% CAGR, so quite strong within the continent.
What's truly remarkable, and you just look at all these numbers together,
Yeah.
is that we're seeing evidence of growth in literally every single corner of the globe. It's not just, one or two regions driving everything.
Sure.
It's a genuinely worldwide trend towards more accessible, more right at your fingertips kind of healthcare solutions. It really shows how global health consciousness is evolving and how consumers everywhere are taking more direct control over their own well-being.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening in? Well, we've seen this consistent, strong upward trajectory for the global OTC consumer healthcare market. It's projected to add over $130 billion in sales between 2021 and 2033.
$130 billion extra.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, that's like adding the entire GDP of a medium-sized country purely in OTC healthcare products over just about a decade. It's huge, and Asia-Pacific is clearly leading that charge, driven by those factors we talked about: increasing health awareness, growing middle class, accessibility.
Yeah, this market outlook, it powerfully underscores this global trend towards, well, personal health management and proactive well-being. And knowledge like this is most valuable when it's understood and, applied. This data certainly paints a vivid picture, which I think raises an important question for you to consider. As consumers increasingly turn to these over-the-counter options for everything from, say, minor ailments to daily supplements, how might this evolving landscape of self-care redefine our whole understanding of accessible, affordable healthcare in the years to come? Something to think about.